Today we're looking at God's gift to Earth, chess puzzles. This is the hidden path to chess improvement. But many people know you gotta solve chess puzzles, but they can't do it properly. So today what I'm going to take you through is a method that we can do to solve chess puzzles for good. And this is going to be episode 1 of a 30-day series where I take the most instructive moments to show you. Okay, first off, I'm going to break down the method. The method is called the real method, and you're going to understand why it's called the real method. Number 1, what we want to do in any puzzle, or in fact for that matter any game position, is recognize the material. For example, in this position I have 4 pawns, a queen, 2 rooks, and my opponent has 2 rooks, a queen, and 7 pawns, so I'm down 3 points of material. Typically when you're down a lot of material, you have to play for checkmate, because even if you win a piece, it's not going to matter at that point. Now if it's about equal material, then normally you either play for checkmate or you can just win a piece and you're better in the game. And typically if you're up material, you just have to defend your king. Now step number 2 is examine checks, captures, and threats. These are the forcing moves in the position. For example, in this position I have 4 checks. I have queen takes h2, queen takes g3, queen g2 check, and queen f1 check. Now not all checks are made the same. Queen f1 blunders the queen g2 blunders the queen g3 blunders the queen, and I'm making a song about blundering the queen. Okay, then you also have to look at captures. In this position, the capture that makes sense is also a check, which is queen h2. Then you have to look for threats. Of course, in this position, the check is more appealing. The next step is to evaluate variations. It's all good and all seeing checks and being like, oh, I think that's the move, let me play it. That's going to get you tons of puzzles wrong. You actually have to examine the checks, then evaluate the variation, calculate till the very end, and we're going to see examples of this in this video. Now, step number 4 is look again, because I don't care how good you calculated, how good you think you calculated, you may have made a mistake, so be sure to double check your answer, and this is how you ensure you get every single chess puzzle correct. Yes, you'll get a couple wrong, it's part of life, you'll get stuff wrong, but you can ensure a very high accuracy. So I want everyone to try and pause the video, try and solve this yourself, use the real method, and I'll be back going through my thought process of how to get the solution. Okay, I hope you had a go, and for this one, first, we start with recognize material. As I already mentioned, we're down 3 points of material. Now, step number 2 is examine checks, captures, and threats. Let's examine the checks. Queen h2 seems like a really good move. Now, what else do we have? We can also play queen g2, that would blunder the queen, so that doesn't make much sense. We can also give this capture. So these are potential ideas we have. Now let's evaluate the variations. So queen h2 is the most forcing variation, so let's start with that. Queen h2, king f1 is forced. Do we have a check in that position? Yes, I'm seeing we have queen h1, but then king comes to e2. Is there a follow-up we have in that position? Well, immediately nothing sticks out to me. Okay, so after queen h2, king f1, queen h1, I don't think leads anywhere, because after king e2, I can't see a follow-up. You have to try and evaluate this. If we take the rook, they can even take our queen, and I don't see anything good that comes out of that. So let's not do that. Let's instead think, okay, queen h2, king f1, what else can we play? Is there any other check we're not evaluating? Well, there is one, queen back to h3, and it has a very cool concept. If they go to king g1, we have queen h1 checkmate. We actually took away this pawn to give the check again, to then come to h1 for the checkmate, so that's winning. So queen h2, king f1, queen h3 seems very promising. They can't go king g1, we have mate. So they have to go king e2 there. But there we have another check. We have a check on g4. Now, after the check on g4, they can't move the king to this side, and if they play king back to f1, now we have this check, king g2, and we have mate. So that's not going to work either. So, okay, queen h2, king f1, then we go queen h3, they go king e2, we go queen g4. Now, essentially the only move that makes any sense there is f3. But in that case, now we can slide our rook over to the h2 square, and I'm just wondering, is there any win here? Because they do have this move, king e3, but there I think we have queen g5 check, and in that case, they have to play f4, and then we can just take this pawn, and it is in fact checkmate. So queen h2, king f1, queen h3, now king e2, we go queen g4, f3, we go check, and if they drop the king back, what do we do? Oh, we can just take the pawn on f3, and they have to go king g1, and we have queen g2 mate. Now, step number 4 is look again. I don't care how good I think I calculated. I think I've got the solution, right? I think I've got it. You guys probably think, oh, he's got it, just play the move. You have to check again, because in a lot of cases you do make some small mistakes, and I may be prone to that as well. Queen h2, king f1, queen h3, king e2, queen g4. And you can slow it down if you think I'm going a bit fast. They also, now I'm looking at this, they do have the move king e3 there. And maybe I would have got the puzzle wrong if I just went along with my instinct, but we would have to calculate here as well. What do we do on king e3? Okay, I'm seeing after king e3, we can possibly just take the rook because the rook is hanging. If they give a check on a8, we can come up to d7 very safely, and they have no more checks, and I can simply get this rook. And I should be winning them. So that's a line that I wouldn't have calculated if I didn't look again. So I think we can safely go for it now. I think the move is queen h2, queen back to h3. Now the king comes to e2. We go back to g4. And now king e3. Now we can safely take the rook. And this was the last line we calculated. Just making sure there's no other tricks. I don't think so. I think we can take the rook. If f3 there maybe to try and pin us, we can just take the rook and it's okay. Yep. And we win the rook. So this is the puzzle. Now let's go to the next puzzle, and we're going to use the same method. So I want you guys to pause the video and try and solve it. The puzzles are 2862, and what I aim to do by the end of this 30 days, by the way, just to let you all know, I want to beat Gotham Chess's score. I don't know what it is exactly. It's probably around 3,500, but that will be the goal by the end of the 35 days. So unfortunate for Gotham Chess. Real Chess is coming to take over with the real method. All right, have a go at this puzzle. Okay, let's go through the real method. So recognize material. Let's see what the material count is. We have a rook, a queen, and two pieces. They have a rook, queen, two rooks, a queen, and we can already see the upper whole rook. Also, if we count the pawns, it's about equal, but they are upper rook. So they're actually upper pawn as well. So they're upper 6 points of material. So we have to do something very fast. So now we know what we're playing for. Then we examine the checks, captures, and threats. We have, let's look for checks first. We have knight h3, but bringing the knight in without any other pieces attacking doesn't make much sense. Maybe just king h1 there, and they're pretty safe. So also we have queen g5 check, which is a really good one. And once we have pretty good candidate moves, we can stop there and go to the next stage. If we do need to, we can come back to the previous stage. Let's say queen g5 doesn't work, we can come back and then look for more captures. Then we can maybe consider taking the knight. Now, here I think taking the pawn is really good. Also, if you do consider taking the knight, just be sure to understand that you're still down in material. Yes, it's a free knight, but you're already down a rook and a pawn. So taking a knight isn't going to help your case that much. So queen g5 here. Queen g5 check, they have two moves. They have king h1. There we have queen g2 mate, and it's very simple. If queen g5, they go king f2. Now we have queen g2 check. Now the king is forced to e3, and there I'm seeing the king is pretty much boxed in. It only needs one more check. Unfortunately for us, we don't have queen e2. That would be really nice, but the queen would take, so we can't do that. So instead of that, after queen g5, king f2, queen g2, king e3, we can actually consider another check. Now, we can't give a check with the knight. We could, but okay, pawn takes. But we can give a check with the pawn. Now, if you're looking closely at that position, if you're trying to visualize, you will see that the only move they have is, well, they have two moves. They can take the pawn, or they can take the knight. Let's consider them taking the knight. If they take the knight, I believe the move is very simple. Just rook f8, and it would be, in fact, checkmate in one. But what if we go queen g5, king f2, queen g2, king e3, e takes d4, and then king takes d4? Do we have a win in that position? And I would have to calculate. I actually don't see one off the top of my head. Okay, I'm seeing something really cool here actually. If I go queen g5, king f2, if I go queen g2, king e3, maybe it's not great because after taking the pawn, they can take with the king and the king is running. So then I look again in that position. After queen g5, king f2, do I have anything else? I do see the move knight takes d3 and it comes with check. And he can't go back to the g file since the queen is covering. And he can't go to e3 because the queen would be covering in that position. So after queen g5, king f2, knight takes d3, he would have to only play one move, which is king e2. Now, I'm looking and I think, okay, I can just simply come back to f4. And what can they do? If the king were to come, let's say, to e1, I would have queen h4 check, whereby they would only have one move, rook f2, and I would have mate. And, okay, if they come to, let's say, f2. Now I can just play this check. Now if the king comes back, now I have mate on d3. So that's really good as well. So queen g5, king f2, I take on d3. Now king e2, I come back to f4. Do they have anything else? Yes, they can go king e3. Now after king e3, what can we do? Now I think the original calculation, where we took this pawn, could come in handy, although they can still take. They can still take it, but there we do have the move, if you look very, very closely, queen c5 checkmate. So a very hard puzzle to actually see and calculate the whole lines, but I believe that's good. So let's look again. Step number 4, don't forget it. Queen g5, king f2. We can't give a check, so we take on d3. Now they go king e2. Okay, we come back to f4. Now they go king e3. Now we take this pawn. Their only legal move, I mean, if they go back, we still have the same mate. Check here and mate. So they're not going to do that. They're going to come back and take this pawn. But there, our queen is on g5 instead of being on g2, whereby it can make a checkmate on c5. And it's important to note the knight is gone, so the knight can't capture the queen in that line. And that would be checkmate. The queen covers all these squares, attacks the king, and the knight covers this square. And all these squares are unavailable for the king, and it's checkmate. So let's play the move. Check. Now we take on d3. Now we come back to f4. Let me just double check. Yeah, we come back to f4. And that is the puzzle. Now whatever they do, we are winning. Okay, let's do one more. Now we have to go by the same method, the real method, recognize material. Step number 1, recognize material. Bishop, knight, 2 rooks, and a queen, and they have how many pawns? They have 6 pawns. We have 6 pawns and 1 less piece, clearly. We have a queen, 2 rooks, and a knight, so we have 1 less piece. Now we could take the piece back, but what I'm seeing there is, okay, maybe they can take this pawn, and they're already winning some material back, and they're doing better in that position. So maybe taking the knight isn't as good as it seems. Let's go through step number 2. Examine checks, captures, and threats. Do we have any checks in the position? No, we do not. Do we have any captures? Yes, we do. We can take the knight, but we already discussed this. They can take here, and maybe they're doing okay there. We'll have to calculate a little bit further. Any other captures? Yes, we can take this pawn, but I don't understand it after just pawn takes, and I don't see anything else. So do we have any threats? The main threat I'm seeing straight away is the move f6. Attacks the bishop, and if bishop takes, we can potentially take that bishop with the knight, threatening checkmate. They would have to take back with the pawn, and there maybe we take the knight, but even there I don't see any clear win for us. So f6, bishop takes, maybe we'll have a different move. Maybe we had rook takes, but even that doesn't work, just pawn takes, and we don't have a checkmate in that position because they have too many defenders on this f6 square. Now I'm looking at other threats. Okay, I see knight g5 as a potential move, which does attack this pawn, which would fork the queen. Another thing about knight g5 is if I play knight g5, let's say they move the queen away to defend this square, maybe there I have the move f6. Now f6 would attack the bishop, it would also threaten checkmate, and I'm still attacking the knight. So that's creating many, many threats in one. So let's say they play the move h6 there. Okay, first of all, I just have checkmate. I don't know why they would play h6, actually. That wouldn't work. That wouldn't defend the checkmate. So here, queen e8, f6, h6 wouldn't defend anything. How do you defend this square? Yeah, the game would simply be over. Because how can you defend this square? If you move the pawn, it doesn't do anything. Can you defend this square? It doesn't look like you can. And the game would be over. So knight g5 looks incredibly strong. But let's check it. Knight e5, maybe they have a different defensive move. Maybe they have rook f8. Let's try rook f8. Now we still go f6. We still threaten the checkmate. Yeah, I'm pretty confident in playing this as the move. I'm going to look again though, just to make sure. But knight g5, the threat is knight f7. You have to try and defend this. Now, if you play rook f8, I go f6. And how do you stop this checkmate? I don't see a very clear way. e5 doesn't do anything. If you bring the knight back to f5 blocking, I just take it. And I don't see any other way to defend the checkmate. So I will go ahead and play the move, knight g5, Bishop comes to f6, but now you simply lose the queen. Now I should have saw this a little bit more in advance, seeing that this was threatened, but I don't think it's a big threat because the king just comes to the g7 square, blocking everything. So they do block the move f6, which is their best try, but here we can simply win the queen. And we're winning. So that's going to do us for today. Next time we're going to tackle some more harder puzzles, and possibly we'll be doing these on themes as well. So be sure to tell me what you think of this video in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed it and found it insightful, and subscribe to the realest chess channel in the West. See what I did there? Realest chess channel, real chess, and the real method. Putting it all in one, making it easy to understand for you.